What's up, everyone? Welcome to my stream. International Master Willam Paschall. We're playing blitz and classical chess this morning on lichess.org and streaming it on Twitch. I'm Slaggy on Twitch, and you can challenge me. My handle is Sparklehorse on lichess. We're playing blitz and classical chess with everyone today. We'll take the subscribers first. We've got Bob Aldisto here. Thank you guys for subscribing. Sorry for the late start, guys. I had to grab some food, and I don't like to stream on without having some kind of breakfast. So I wanted to grab a little bit of a little food so we have some energy for the stream. Real Eldon Music, welcome, guys. Let's make sure the stream is good. We've got volume. We've got no drop frames. So then I think we can go ahead and start playing some of these challenges. Aldisto, Lucky Kentucky. This name, it's hard for me to pronounce. Habite Boulet, I think. Macros 42. French names are not easy for me. I have no experience learning learning French, so I will mispronounce stuff. Aldisto he's been tough on me lately. He's been playing really well. 8+3. Let's start this challenge. Lucky Kentucky also took me out in the simul yesterday. Every Sunday night I do a simul at 6:30. It's a pretty long stream, like 3 hours for some of the games. And so the reason why I'm a little bit slow today. You guys take a lot of energy out of me with the simuls on Sunday night. So I slept well, I rested well last night, but still I didn't wake up very easily this morning. All right, Aldisto, normal chess. We have played chess 960. I'm just going to start with d4. So if you guys want to challenge me, you can make any kind of challenge between 5 and 8 minutes with a small increment. Anything between 3 and 5 seconds for the increment. So use your imagination. 5, 3, 6, 4, 7, 5. 8+3 is kind of the maximum that I'm willing to play. Longer than that, the games can go up to like 20 minutes, and it's just too much. All right. So it's some kind of Nimzo or Queen's India. Now, I don't remember. I've played a lot of games with Aldisto now, over 30. But I don't remember particularly Queen's Indians and Nimzos. I think that Knight C3 is a higher... let's see how to explain it. It's kind of like a higher energy move than Knight F3, but it's also coming with a little more responsibility. Oftentimes I play Knight F3 avoiding the Nimzo, but there was a time when I played Knight to C3 regularly. Okay, Queen's Gambit declined. We actually who's missing? Ananas. Yeah, Ananas used to watch the stream a lot. Also from Germany, a solid player. Haven't seen him around. Another word that starts with an A. Okay, Bishop E7. It's hard to get an advantage against any mainstream opening, really. The Queen's Gambit. A lot of people play Bishop F4. I mean, that trend has been going on for like 30 years now. But to be honest with you guys, I don't really think it's easy to get an advantage with anything these days. Amongst beginners, I have noticed that E4, like on lichess, is outrageously more popular than D4. But if you play in tournaments, I mean, against like experienced players with knowledge and theoretical experience, and if you look in ChessBase, for example, I mean, D4 is probably as popular, virtually as popular as E4, but you don't really feel it when you play online against people who are maybe under 2100, under 2000. Mostly everyone plays E4, and they don't know a lot of book. These online players, let's say. Now, Aldisto played C6. He's basically, maybe he's trying to learn a new opening. I don't know, but he's basically playing a semi-Slav, kind of like with Bishop E7. Now, we're completely in the twilight zone here. It looks like a bad Lasker variation for black. He's played c6 kind of unnecessarily. I could consider even bishop f4, keeping the bishop on the board. I guess at the end of the day, we have to look at taking on e4, and then taking on e7, and then playing like the knight somewhere. I could even play knight e5, but my knight could get trapped there. Queen b4 check, queen d2, queen takes, f6, knight g4, h5. Alright, we'll just play, I don't know, what makes the most logical sense here. He's played c6 very early, and normally that's not done. Typically you'd have castles with h6 and my bishop on h4, and then he would play knight e4, and then I would trade on e7. I've personally played castles with knight e4 without playing h6 once, but never with c6. I don't know, if there's anything dramatic we can do to exploit this move order by black. I guess not. Maybe just bishop d3 makes the most sense here. I can also play rook to c1. He's reinforced his d5 pawn, so when I exchange on d5, he doesn't have to play knight takes c3. He can just take back on d5. But again, like knight takes e4, I'd like to play that and double his pawns. But after knight takes, pawn takes, knight d2, black always has stuff like e5 with good counterplay. That's typical in this line. So it's very reflexive to do something like knight takes knight, pawn takes knight d2. Black gets too much play with e5 in those kind of situations. So I think. But let's take one hard look here one more time. Like knight takes, pawn takes, knight d2. Maybe he can't do e5 right away because of knight takes e4. I would imagine even so black might have some counterplay there, but it's not so clear. Pawn takes pawn, queen takes d4. So I guess after knight takes, pawn takes, knight d2, he'd have to play f5. Which gives me time to play f3. And then the question is, how much counterplay does he have there after f5, f3? e5, pawn takes e4, pawn takes d4, pawn takes d4, pawn takes e4, for example. It's an interesting game. Let's try it. I'm running out of time. Knight e5 is going to get my knight trapped for sure. I would never do this under normal circumstances, but the fact that he's played c6 rather than castles makes this tempting for me. I have to react quickly to try to blow up his center. It feels like a French defense or something. My gut instinct is that this is playable, but it may not be my best line. Probably white has nothing special here. It's like chances for both sides. I didn't see what to do though, honestly. Never been timid. It's good to, yeah, well that's the point of my stream, to play longer games and have time to talk about it, you know. I really don't see the point in like annotating bullet games, you know. I mean, even amongst like masters, like strong IMs and GMs, like the bullet games are basically garbage. So what's the point of like commentating garbage games, you know? Even blitz games can be garbage, but if we can play like 7 minutes or 8 minutes games, or 5 minutes with a good increment, I think that we can create some kind of quality to the games, which is, to me, like more important than... It's fun to play fast chess, you know, but there's no way I can commentate like 3-0 games, and 5-0 is very hard. So, you know, hopefully we find a niche here and something that can be very instructive to everyone. If you enjoy the stream, excuse me, please subscribe. Anyway, sorry for the late start, guys. I had to grab some breakfast. Then I'll have energy, be able to play well. Usually I'm starting at 10. We're about 10 minutes late today. That is Central European time, or European time. We'll just call it European time to be simple. Alright, now f3. Obviously he has a check at h4. He has these checks with the queen on b4 and h4. So he's followed my advice. Now I need to pause for a second. My dark square bishop is off the board, and that could be an important color complex. My basic idea was to break up his pawn center. I think this is consistent. Both sides, king still in the center. I could actually castle either way. Maybe I should very seriously consider castling queenside. If I can castle queenside, my king, well, he can actually maybe prevent me from castling kingside here, depending on what happens next. Now I have a continuation like queen h5 check, followed by queen e5, trading queens, or trying to trade queens to surround his pawn on e4. I'm thinking that's going to lead to an equal ending, because my pawn on e5 will be as weak as his pawn on e4. Queen h5 check, g6, queen e5, take, knight d7, knight takes e4, knight takes e5 with approximate equality. So we could try queen h5 check and queen h6. That's really aggressive. But I'm just so far behind on time here. I'm not feeling really comfortable. Queen c5 is another kind of weird idea. If I could blockade his pawn, it becomes problematic for black, actually. All right, I don't want to lose on time, really, so I'm going to play queen e5. This ending is certainly at least equal for me. We can get our rook to the d file, our rooks to the open files, hopefully. My bishop's a little bit bad. I'm not really happy about that. Maybe it just is going to be a defender, simply. But I'm just too far behind on time. Okay, that's the downside of commentating so much, is that I have no time left to play. The thing I don't like about this variation is after f takes e4, we play bishop e2. Right, well, I know. I don't like it either, and that's why I had to bail for this kind of lame ending. But I probably could have played more crazy stuff, like castling queenside. If I had more time to work it out, I would consider something like queen b3 followed by castles queenside. Maybe that was the best way to go. It's really murky, but chances for both sides. I don't know if I should grab his bishop here. Should I grab his bishop on c8, the undeveloped one? I guess there's no rush. Famous last words. If it goes to e6, it could cause some damage. I guess he's going to castle kingside. Approximately equal position. Unfortunately, my bishop is blocked by my own pawns. kind of wish my king was on e3. Objectively, this should be a draw. So I guess knight takes e4 was a fail. But we could have gotten an interesting position with castles queen side. But I don't think that black is worse. Just it's imbalanced. We'll look at the game briefly. I'd like to, if I can, take like 30 seconds to go over the games when they finish to just kind of see if there's anything obvious that we could take away from it. Not like extensive game analysis. If you're a subscriber, or even if you're not a subscriber, if you guys want to come by on Thursday evenings, I like to include like analyzing games with my blitz games. Well, I think this is equal. I mean, either side could misplay it, but right now, the fact that my pawn is on c4 is a serious liability. If the pawn were back on c3, I'd be a little more comfortable not having my pawn committed to a white square out there. So black should be able to hold a draw, or even maybe pressure me a little bit here. Yeah, that's a good move. I guess rook f1 kind of gives him a good ending. We can try other stuff. Preempting rook f2. Obviously this looks very passive on the surface, but he preempts him. Wow, that is a superb move. Damn, dude. Playing like God. Now, how do I hold this together? The answer is I don't. Man. At least my pawns are on the right color. Man, he's playing like perfectly. Is there any way I can get some kind of activity? King d4. Still can't play g4. I'm just paralyzed. Amazing endgame by Aldisto. He played flawlessly here. don't know if I can survive. I need some sort of counterplay. Don't really have too much counterplay here. Almost losing on time. Yeah. His knight d2, rook c1 check, king takes b4. Now at least we have a chance with some kind of activity. Whoa. Bishops are better with rook pawns. I should be able to draw this. Famous last words. If the pawns were connected, I would be losing here, but since they're separated, it's just a draw. But it was a totally winning position for him earlier, you know, before he allowed the passed h-pawn and his king got out of position. Now it's just a draw. Bad position for me prior to this ending. I don't think I was ever better. I mean, slightly it looks like. But the opening was a total mystery to me. c6. This is an actual move. But usually not with knight e4. Very rare continuation. I don't know what the heck this is. What is knight e4? The computer's actually giving the line I played. Takes, knight takes e4. But Crow did this and beat Serper, and Kenken did it too. So I have there's some basis for this. Well, Kenken couldn't win. Hinken, if we want to say it. Alexander Lastin, Bakro, and Hinken. And Marko Zivanic. So we've got like 4 decent players, all of which did what I did. But the problem is I'm supposed to play c5, it looks like. This is the secret move. Heading for like knight c4, knight e5. Still, it's not that impressive. It looks like an interesting line for black to kind of use as a surprise. Some guy who was like 2300 drew against Kenken, and I don't know, interesting line. Where you came up with this, Aldisto. I can't imagine like too many authors recommending this variation for black in a book or something. So I played f3, and we're following some random game here. f3 is apparently bad. e5, f takes e4, f takes e4. Yeah, here I was thinking queen b3. The computer now says that's the best move, or c5. I thought this was the idea of castling queenside. If I had it to do over again, that would be my choice, definitely. Though he can play bishop g4, apparently. That's a sharp move to try to stop me from castling queenside. Okay, this is unclear. You know, this would have been the best way to play it. The way I played it, it should have been equal. I thought this was a good move too, queen h6. If I want to be ambitious, queen h6 is the best try. I thought, though, I didn't have losing chances here, but I misevaluated this. I thought this was equal, but I maybe shouldn't go for his bishop. I don't know. I'm slightly worse, maybe. I just couldn't imagine I was losing here. Castle's queenside would have been better. That was probably my biggest mistake now, playing bishop e2. I should have castled queenside. Okay. Alright, then later on, it says I was like practically like losing at the worst case and almost winning at the end. I has a winning position here. That's a little far-fetched. I sort of doubt that. I think somebody's computer got excited. Alright, let's get back to the games, guys. Any other subscribers who are challenging me? Zen Chess. Camel Culture. Alright, we both missed our chances to be better, but I think he had more chances to be better than me. I should have castled queenside. Bishop e2 was passive, and Aldis still played pretty well, but he got in time pressure and started to get discombobulated. I thought he had like king e3 at one moment. I don't know. Alright, we'll play e4. Usually Zen Chess plays the Najdorf with black. Let's not click resign by accident. I like how lichess has the double click. You have to double click, but it is kind of annoying if you're like in time pressure. Who has time to like double click to offer a draw? I mean, seriously, it's not really workable. I mean, you know, let's say you both have 5 seconds left with rook against rook, and you want to like offer a draw because it's a sensible thing to do. I mean, or if you have 3 seconds left, you can't offer a draw because you like lose on time while you're trying to like double click draw. I understand the reason for the double click, but I don't think it's kind of like Control Alt Delete, you know. It's just not really workable. If you're in time pressure, you don't have time to double click stuff. I don't know what to do. Make the button smaller. All right. What are we gonna do? I don't know anything else. Sometimes I play a4. You got to play Alapin or some anti-Sicilian to avoid the Najdorf. I don't play c3. I always mocked c3 throughout my life. It's sort of like, you know, you can't be a Yankees and a Red Sox fan at the same time. You can't like hate the c3 Sicilian and play it for white. I basically hate it because I have to play against it, and I've been an enemy of the c3 Sicilian my entire career, so I can't really be a supporter of it at the same time. e5, let's see. There was a really nice game. Anand just beat Mark Esserman like a child the other day at the Isle of Man. It's instructive in how to handle like a player who's like, you know, really good tactically, but not that strong strategically. You know, Anand just played this ultra safe, very, very simple kind of line that gives black no tactical chances, and he just like mauled Esserman. You know, you've got to be a very strong player to have the ability to just play any system like Anand. I mean, but just goes to show. I am not that familiar with this line, but Anand did something like knight d2 in one moment and was able to, you know, play like, well, total control of d5 is the main theme, but like an absurdly positional approach. But it's already different because, yeah, okay, Esserman tried to play like for b5 on the queen side. It was a different line, but the same idea of knight coming back to f3. It's not the same position. Anyways, the whole setups, you know, the setups with knight f3 going back there as a whole are like ultra safe variations for white. I had a game against Zenchess last week where he sacked the exchange on c3 in similar position, and it was interesting. I don't remember, did I lose? Maybe it was the game I lost. I can't recall now. Which one was it? We haven't played that many games recently. I don't remember. Might be that one. No, Zenchess was white in this one. Okay. I can't bring my bishop to c4. That's the virtue. I like this better than what Esserman did. You know, like bishop e6 seems better for black to yeah, now, and I made a mistake immediately here because I'm not fully awake, but I'm supposed to play knight g5. This is, I looked at this now, I remember. It's not supposed to be that good for black, but you know, most people don't play bishop e6. Now, and I regret. Can I have a take back? I'm supposed to play bishop g5. I mean knight g5. It's actually a pretty rare system, bishop e6. Yeah, so knight g5, you go for the white square bishop. It's kind of weird though. He offers a take back. He's going to give me a take back? Alright, let's play it because this is supposed to be what white's supposed to do. I don't know. My gut instinct was that it's not a big deal. That's why I rejected it last time. But then I looked at it with the computer and with the opening explorer, and it looks like knight g5 is the right move. That's like the best test of black's position. Anyway, very sporting gesture by Zenchess to give me the take back. So I think I played bishop g5 last time too, but it's not really great. This is supposed to be the critical try. I mean, he can't move his bishop because he'll give me f7, so he'll give me threats against f7. He's committed to giving up his white square bishop. And I think I said knight c6 for black. There are very few games in the online database or in chess, the online opening explorer. I didn't check ChessBase, where I'm sure there are more games, but also, you know, the nice thing about the lichess opening explorer is that it's pared down to just master level games. Okay, if you check in like ChessBase, some commercial database, there are tons of games from like the Sri Lankan Championship under 11. You know, there's all kinds of random games with total beginners, and I'd rather have a database that's a little bit like more like just quality games with I guess you can do that though. You can pare it down yourself basically to players only over a certain rating level. So that's what I should do. Anyway, so queen c7, it's a question. He's controlling c4. Now, there are different ways of playing this position. I guess I could get really, really psycho-aggressive with f4. I kind of like that. But it's extremely risky at the same time. It kind of makes sense. Because we're unblocking our f-pawn. Maybe I can make something happen with the f-file here in the future. It takes like 10 seconds, 10 milliseconds longer to accept a draw. What do you mean by that? Offer. If you double click, yeah, 10 milliseconds. For me, it takes like 2 seconds. I'm slow with the mouse, so a double click takes 2 seconds, like a normal click takes 1. If I basically have to like double click the mouse, I better have more than 2 seconds. I better have 3 to be on the safe side. I don't play bullet, and I don't have a gaming mouse. I've never been mouse oriented. Never been good with the mouse, even 20 years ago. When I first started playing blitz online in the mid 90s, I was already slow, you know. I mean, this isn't something because I'm like middle aged. I was always slow. Not slow thinking, but slow moving in the mouse sense. Mouse handicapped, basically. F4. You know, so things are getting interesting. I mean, he could have even played like bishop c4, but it does look kind of weird to do that here. I feel like we should just keep developing smoothly. There is the possibility of bishop g4. That doesn't concern me that much. Here I could play f5 actually and go for like white square control. What's the follow-up though? Like f5, bishop c4. I guess I should take. I was thinking about taking and playing f5 actually. That's a little bit insane. But it would win control of the white squares in the position actually. Crazy to take and play f5. Bishop d3, bishop g4. I wonder if this is actually studied anywhere, this position. There were almost no games with bishop e6, practically non-existent variation. So we're just on our own here. I'm not sure what to do. Again, as I said, like f5 makes some sense. Undermining the white squares. It's pretty insanely complicated. I mean, I think that both sides are lagging a little bit in development here. So I don't know. Is he gonna like castle queenside? His center could be dangerous, could also be vulnerable. A gaming mouse is a good investment. Then I wouldn't have the the ability to make excuses for my slowness. He takes f5. So the white squares throughout the position look weak, but at the same time, I am a little bit behind in development. So I was even thinking like, I wish I could play g4, bishop g2, just to dominate the white squares completely. I mean, this actually g4, g5, or g4, queen c6, rook g1. I have a lot of openness in the position, but it's actually kind of hard for him to exploit it. I mean, he's missing his white square bishop, and I think that's the most important thing that's going on here. Actually, preemptive strike with queen c6. Now, that's a great move. what a move. That's an amazing move. I mean, this move ties down my g-pawn. It also supports d5. Fortunately, bishop b5 doesn't work. Okay, I was thinking queen e2. Queen e2, d5, g4. It's going to get very, very sharp after that. I don't know what else to do other than queen e2 and g4. I'm not used to playing these kind of crazy all or nothing positions. You know, a lot of players who play the Open Sicilian are looking for this kind of chaos, but I usually like try to have a more kind of controlled positional advantage, some kind of small strategic advantage. Queen e2, multifaceted move. I mean, there is the possibility of castling queenside, but mostly I just want to like put my queen opposite his king, making it harder for his pawns to avalanche forward. Support g4, support bishop g2, possibly. If d5, g4. Well, here I have queen c4 now. An attempt to kind of calm down the position a little bit. Maybe objectively, that's fine, all right. Objectively losing a little bit of time for me, but getting the dangerous queens off the board. I could even do g4. Knight takes g4, rook g1. You could try rook g1 straight up. Okay, I have no idea what's going on here. He also potentially has a check on h4. This feels coffee house to me, but I've got to try to do something. If I do anything slower, if I did anything like, I don't know, rook g1, you could even play h5, for example, kind of slowing me down. This move is kind of passive. h6 seems passive. Okay, c'est la vie. Alright, so at least our pawn is not going to fall. I thought he should grab the pawn and take his chances in that complicated position where he's winning a pawn, but I have some activity. Now he still has some basis for sound position, though. He's got d5, bishop g2, rook c5, probably not so bad for black. We also has bishop b4, I guess. I was thinking a long time ago about playing king d1. Here I might consider other things, like castles, perhaps. I mean, bishop d2 is feasible as well. Alright, well, now there's some new squares like e5 available to him, but that's okay. Can we blockade? Bishop f4. Keeping him off that square might be interesting. He also has bishop b4 at some point. Now king d1. The thing is, if he doubles rooks, I mean, it's going to be kind of embarrassing for me with my king on d1. I'm not sure he's really threatening anything here. Castles might be a sensible move. If he advances his pawns, his whole center falls apart, you know, so it's not so easy. Knight e5 is dangerous, but my bishop on c1 sort of guards against knight c4, and again, when he tries to play d4, I take on e4. I'm simply trying to take out his center here. He sacked the exchange now. Wow. I did not expect that in this position. It may be okay. Where am I supposed to go? I guess it's safer to go over here for the endgame. Now I have c4. Just trying to mess with him, basically. Two bishops are pretty good now. I mean, I think he has some compensation, but not really quite enough. Not as much as you would want, you know, in the typical Sicilian with like rook takes c3. Feels like I'm probably winning now. Two bishops are too strong. All my pieces are too strong at this point. Get our pawn back. He starts to fall apart. Ah, it's lost. I could have just played bishop takes f6 last move. Whoops. Does that save him? Oh, shit. It saves him. Oh my god. Alright. I missed bishop takes f6. So, I don't know, man. I think you were much better. Again, it's kind of like my first game without the Stowe. I stumble out of the opening. And then I'm worse, and then somehow I survive and I'm better. So bishop e6, look at this move. I mean, nobody plays this. There's only 14 games. I mean, queen c7, 100. That's how Esserman played against Anand and got slaughtered. Queen c7, bishop e6, and so the engine says I have to play knight g5. Like, no other move gives me an advantage in this position. I played bishop g5. Two guys lost. Yeah, who are these people? I don't know. Two 2300s lost, basically, with bishop g5. So I changed my move to knight g5. And now Zenchess apparently knows this for whatever it's worth. Igor Glek was white in a game. He's kind of a theoretician. I thought knight c6, but he plays it more Najdorf style with like queen c7. And now this is a new move. Novelty f4. It was a little aggressive, but let's see what the engine suggests here. Knight takes e6, f takes e6. Glek is a really, you know, high-class player, so he must have played g3. This is a game from John Cox, 1984. This is some game in the UK back in 84. That guy's authored some book. I remember his name. So the computer says bishop e3. Glek's move is g3. And now bishop e7 was played. White is a little bit better, but it's not very clear. The engine actually says black is equal here. So this is an interesting line, Zenchess. My f4, though, is pretty insane. And a little bit uncompromising. Knight takes e6, f takes e6. I didn't know what to do here. I should play g3. For some reason, that move didn't really occur to me. Now I know. We can just play g3 with the kingside fianchetto and like continue that way. I went kind of berserk with f5. This is asking too much. He finds the best move here, queen c6. And after queen c6, then chess was better. I'm actually in trouble. Apparently he should have castled queenside. Here probably I should play something like rook g1. I don't know. Alias queen b6 there. Anyway, not an easy position to play for me. f4 was a little bit too aggressive. I don't think he needed to sacrifice in exchange. I don't think he needed to sacrifice in exchange. It's just not necessary. I mean, that's probably where he lost the game, basically. Here it's like equal, and it's just fancy to play rook takes c3. You don't really have enough basis for that in this position. It's probably playable, but actually the computer hates it. Just not enough. I mean, your pawns are too ragged, I guess. You don't have a lot of flexibility in the structure, so can't really afford to make the exchange sack. So the second game I've been in a lot of trouble. If we have any other subscribers, guys, you're welcome to go ahead and play first. But I don't think there's... Bob is not challenging me. I don't think we have any other subscribers at the moment challenging, so we'll play Kentucky here. Kentucky played the Albin counter gambit. Unfortunately, Kentucky, I haven't had time to really analyze the simul games from yesterday. At 6:30 last night, I did a 24 board simul on lichess, and Kentucky was one of 3 players who beat me. It was, what are we going to play here? It was Black playing, he played the Albin counter gambit, and a really extreme version of it. You know, normally Black tries to get his pawn back, but Kentucky just like tries to sack a second pawn or something crazy. Basically, really insane variation. But in the end, it was an ending where I was slightly better, I thought, but I managed to lose, unfortunately. Alright, let's play this. You always come out okay in our night offs. Well, I'm not really a highly theoretical e4 player, Zen chess. I don't know why I always... You certainly... you played like a rare variation that there's almost no theoretical basis on, and I only happened to like look at that once, and then you played well. Like you played queen c6, which is a star move in the key position. That was like absolutely best according to the engine. After that, I mean, I don't think you should wonder why you came out okay. I mean, I don't know it that well, but who knows bishop e6, knight g5. You're playing a position that practically doesn't exist theoretically. If you don't make a mistake, I can't get an advantage against you. And I don't think you made any mistakes until you played like... Okay, I guess you didn't play the best moves, but... Rook takes c3 was your first and only like serious mistake in that game. I mean, you made some inaccuracies. But as far as the opening goes, I don't know enough like, heavy-duty theory to get an advantage in the English attack of the knight or for the main lines with bishop g5. I've tried bishop c4. I don't really know, a lot of Najdorf theory, and I always avoided playing the Najdorf myself because it involves like the memorization of like 30 move variations in 100 different lines. To me, that's not really fun. I don't like having to memorize hundreds of 25 to 30 move variations. I never have, honestly. And so I avoid playing Najdorf with Black. I've avoided it all my life, even though I play the Sicilian mostly. This line that I'm playing here is a recommendation of Brian Smith's. I mean, it's probably been recommended in other places too. I might have messed it up though. I don't know. It seems right. I think you can play like c4, queen, I don't know, queen d8. Do I go back to d8, by the way, or do I go somewhere else? I think Brian Smith recommended this on chesslecture.com, this site that I've been working for a long time. He's going to do c4, huh? Now, I guess I go here. I think this is supposed to be like a critical line. Maybe it's slightly better for white. I don't know. d5, etc. I don't want to tell him all the moves. Kentucky's not really a theoretical type of player. We have seen a lot of players who are better than me in terms of opening theory, but he's more of a similar to me. Like, he tries to avoid main lines a little too much, though. I think the Albin counter gambit is, you know, okay, you can play the Albin counter gambit, but like the line I played against you yesterday, I mean, there are tons of games. Kasimjanov, Morozevich plays it for black for a while, but they try to get the pawn back, not like a second pawn. You went basically va-banque. Okay, now g4, I don't know about that. That I've never seen before. So I'm completely on my own here. I never played this position in my life, basically. I think the variations with bishop g4 are rather risky for black. I might have to put my king on somewhere crazy like d8 in this position. Just preparing you psychologically for that fact, peoples. Is there any other choice? Not really. Knight b4. Well, alright, man. Show me the way. I'm forced to play king d8. I don't know. This doesn't look bright for black, I admit, but he still has to deal with the threat of knight c2. I was not prepared to play the sharp line. I was expecting, like, normally e takes d5, c takes d5, bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3, knight d4 is the main line for this line, and I never saw this before. g4, interesting. Almost every 6 move has been attempted against the Najdorf, of course, man. I mean, that's the problem. That's why people want to play chess 960. Like, show me how to get an advantage against, you know, show me how to get an advantage on the white side of the Spanish. Show me how to get an advantage against the Queen's Gambit. Show me how to get an advantage against the Najdorf. You know, I could just, the list goes on and on. You know, you're asking me, how do I, you know, why are you surprised I couldn't get an advantage against your Najdorf? That's one of, like, many openings. Like, a lot of grandmasters don't know how to get an advantage. I don't have a clue, you know. I mean, chess, I think, is getting harder because the opening theory is getting, like, basically played out, you know. I mean, the Spanish is, like, impossible to get an advantage against the Berlin defense. Wow, this is really, really theoretical now. I mean, theoretical in the sense that it's probably like a forced win for one side. I'd have to know it. I want to play h5, basically. This is just total chaos. h5, a3, pawn takes pawn. I mean, one of the things that makes me nervous is that if this connection is established laterally with his queen, I feel like I'm playing chess 960, by the way. If the connection is established, I mean, bishop f4 is going to kill me. Like, I don't care about knight c2. He's going to play bishop f4, and I'm just, like, hosed. You know, there's no way that my king is safe here in this position. This d-pawn is actually saving my life right now. I want to kind of attack his king, if I can. I was thinking about h5, a3. Just on intuition, I'm going to play this and try for something direct. It's a very fast game, 5 plus 5. How do I get a slight advantage? Well, that's what I mean, basically. I'd be content with a slight advantage. That's all I'm asking for, you know? Play 0.5. Show me how to get 0.5 in all the lines of any of these major openings. It's like impossible. I mean, even 0.3, it's hard to establish an advantage. If you could get like 0.2, that's an accomplishment. Wow, what is going on here? I could play bishop c2 now. Then take on g4. Tactics count for a lot in this position. I mean, I could have played bishop takes b1. Maybe that was safer. I don't know. Look at this move. All right, whatever. He's got a check. I just have to go with the flow here. It's a 1-minute game with 5-second increment. I have no idea. Now, at least most of my pieces are protected. I still have no threats against his king yet. Queen g6, queen f8 check. Unfortunately, that's very disruptive. I mean, I have a lot of possible moves here. He has this knight c4, which is a big problem. Well, I just overlooked queen takes g8 check. That's good. Just losing immediately. I guess this just loses immediately. Terrible blunder by me. I still have 2 pieces for a rook. No, I have 2 pieces for 2 rooks. It's not really enough. No, he blundered. Oh my god. He has to play f3 and he's probably winning. Okay, well, that was a really bad Really bad last 10 moves by both sides. That's what happens in chaotic positions. I usually don't play as wild as I've been playing today, but I didn't mean it. I didn't mean these games to get so out of control. I really didn't. I was trying to play, you know, like rational chess. And it just happened. He played this maniacal variation again. Where's the mate? How can I win here? Where is it? Bishop d3 check. Still not over. That's mate. Wow. I was lost. I just blundered g8 with check. Let's see what happened in the opening. I mean, is this known? Oh, I'm supposed to play c takes d4 here? No, I mean, this is a different line. This is a different line. Okay, h3, bishop h5, c4. Apparently, this is all main line. Queen d6, d5. And now bishop takes f3 first. But I don't like that. I'm supposed to play bishop d3 first? Wow. Maybe I should retreat the queen to a different square. Queen d8. The score is really bad for black. Queen d6 is supposed to be the best move, but I don't like this position. Yeah, apparently he played the best. E takes d, g4. Straight out of the opening book. That's weird. No one's ever been insane enough to do this, what I did here. Basically, bad for black. But this is a blunder, though. Knight h4. He has to make some kind of constructive move at this point. It looks like knight to g5 is possible. That's weird. I would think knight g5 would be suspicious, too. White really needs to develop his pieces somehow. G5, keeping the lines closed, though, might be okay. Oh man, I was just blundering here with this last move. After queen takes f7, the position is unclear. And maybe I'm even better, but I just overlooked my knight was hanging. This is lost for me, I think. We're definitely lost here. No, just f3. And he also has queen g3, apparently, a secondary move. So, hairy games today. I've got to calm it down a little bit. I've got to play a little more soundly. Sarocha, welcome. World loser. I'm getting into these crazy positions today, and I should be losing all my games. We swindled what did we swindle? A draw in the first one. We swindled wins in the last two, where I was worse. I always say that I'm terrible in the opening and better in the other stages of the game. That seems to be the case today. I like to play the modern defense sometimes. Yesterday I lost really badly to Ayeste, one of our more regular viewers, in the simul. Queen g3 or f3, I mean, either way you're winning. I just overlooked g8 though. I mean, that I would never sacrifice that intentionally. I was sitting there looking at the position mostly at what I could do, you know, and forgetting that you're simply threatening to take a piece. But it's really unclear after that, you know. The computer says it's like more than +1 out of the opening advantage to white. I've never played that line in my life before, so I have an excuse. I mean, I do use the stream to experiment with new ideas, and you know, there's a lot of stuff. If I'm going to try out something, I'm going to try it out here, not in like the Hungarian Team Championship. When white plays something quiet against the modern defense, eventually I have to transpose to another opening, like in this case the closed Sicilian. Kitty kitty hiss hiss. Thank you for the cheer. It's getting better. I escaped from the mental hospital. Well, that's always a good sign. You know, if you're mentally stable enough to figure out how to get out of the mental hospital, then I guess it's for the better. I don't know. It's like a test. But you guys, I was kind of tired out from the simul last night, so I basically needed an extra hour of sleep. I slept to about 9:30 this morning, and then I needed to grab some food, so I started the stream a little bit late. White's basically playing an old Indian setup here, and so I don't know. You know, you can do a lot of different stuff, except if you play knight f6, white might play e5, and then the pawns start to move forward. I don't know if it's really dangerous, though. Like, knight f6, e5, knight d5, it almost looks like a c3 Sicilian. But I could choose any number of setups. I can play e5, e6. I don't like e6 that much here. This at least puts some pressure on his center. If he does play e5, we play knight d5. It looks like an Alapin Sicilian, where white has played like d3, which is basically harmless. So that's not an issue, a non-issue. This is bishop g5. I'm not sure it really fits into this type of setup, but it may not be a bad move. I don't know. You should give him. You should give him her. You should give her tier 2 back. I'm not greedy. I accept donations and cheers in all denominations. Bishop e3. It's the thought that counts. Knight g4 here. I can also play c4. That actually looks quite interesting. c4, pawn takes pawn, knight takes e4 with a weird structure. Though those pawns aren't so bad for white, actually. I'm kind of leaning toward b6 now. Just securing my c4 pawn, c5 pawn, so I can play d5. We also have knight g4 in many instances. Well, speaking of knight g4 in many instances, okay, now if I play d5, white has e5 followed by d4 with a reasonable game. So looks like we can't play d5 for whatever that's worth. Maybe the double fianchetto is logical here. Can I imagine me in a cheerleader uniform? That's not a funny thought. It's a win-win situation. You both get cheer 2. +2. Now, thank you guys for your support, for the subscribers and for the people who send me cheers. Thanks also to the other streamers like Yellow Dragoon and Tricks Only who auto host. We've got a little bit of an issue now because of d5, e5, knight d7, d4, and it almost looks like white's threatening to play. It looks like white's threatening to play d4 now. That's a problem. I sounded like a goat. A little bit of a problem, actually. Rook c8. I don't want him to play d4 favorably. Okay, that's a major question. This guy has only half a point out. This is not a bad score against someone a lot higher rated, but only half point out of 3. He's relatively new playing in my stream. He has put up a lot of resistance against me. In those games, I had to work really hard to beat him. Yesterday, and the other game I won, Actually, I don't remember that one so much. The draw was a tough game. Okay, the first one I don't remember. So I had to fight really hard against this opponent. The last two games, I remember that very clearly. Now, he is always threatening d4 again, which is really pissing me off. I want to play d5, but then white has e5. And then I don't really have a good move without allowing a really crazy regrouping for my knight, which I don't want to do. Oh man, I wish my knight was on d7, like Zen chess in the Najdorf, instead of on c6. It's just like getting in the way here. It kind of feels like I'm going to have to play e5 at this point. I don't really see another option. If white plays d4, I feel like he's got a decent game. Once he plays d4, I'm going to be slightly worse. You know, it's just like I have these nice active looking pieces. Let's say castles d4, c takes d, knight to b4. He has a plethora of possibilities there. Maybe queen a4, double attack. Knight c2. My a7 pawn is hanging to the queen on a4. It's not good. I don't like it. You know, I think I have to stabilize the situation. So, into the Roy Lopez, basically. It's some kind of weird Roy Lopez now. I'm playing the black side of the Roy Lopez, where the bishop has gone back from b5 to e2. Or you could simply look at it as a kind of weird Philidor. White is playing a weird Philidor. Thank you for entertaining me till Ding Aronian and the Isle of Man starts. The Isle of Man. Isle of Man, I'm jealous of the people who get to play in the Isle of Man. It's a very strong tournament, but it's kind of, you know, I played once years ago before it was associated with what it's associated with now, but I played in '99, I think, and it's a cool place. It's in the middle of the Irish Sea. They have cats with no tails. I walked around the island quite a bit, and it was pretty cool. I got some nice photos from that trip. But anyway, it's a really, really strong tournament. I mean, these guys like Kramnik must be getting paid a fortune in an appearance fee for that tournament. I mean, they don't want to play in an open tournament with a lot of low-rated players, I can assure you. So, you know, whoever is sponsoring the tournament is forking out some good appearance money for Anand and Kramnik to play. They really don't want to play in that tournament. I mean, in principle. But anyway, it's kind of crazy to see, you know, elite players mixing with just average masters in many cases. But I feel like you have to be one of the privileged few to there's probably like a waiting list. I imagine it's kind of like Gibraltar. I mean, there has to be a limit to the amount of players that can play. I don't know how big a playing site they have or how many players are allowed to play. I just blundered a pawn. Not so easy. Not so easy. I have this. But it's not clear what's going on here. I'm not sure how good this is for me. It's probably good to win a piece, though. Yeah, it's probably good. Well, I didn't see it, Abi Tabuya, but, you know, you gotta see that I have this move. We're both mistaken. Me for not even seeing bishop takes c5, and you for not checking it deeply enough. So I'd really like to play in the Isle of Man, but I just don't have time to play right now. You know, too much work with teaching and that kind of stuff. So it's a really strong open. Gibraltar I'd like to play too, but Gibraltar is probably already full. I have to call Stuart Conquest or send him an email and see if there's still even the possibility of playing in Gibraltar in like January a little better time for me, honestly. I mean, I'm just getting over all this travel and stuff from the United States in September, and it's a little much for me to go to the Isle of Man like straight up in September, right after I just came back to Hungary from the U.S. So I'd rather go to Gibraltar in January. It's also a nice vacation when it's really cold. Here, you know, Gibraltar might be a little bit warmer than Hungary in January. You know, I don't want to go to the Reykjavik Open where like 1400s play against. I am going to play the Hungarian Spring Festival though. There is a good tournament in Budapest in March or April. Now I just take back with the pawn. The queen defends the knight. Anytime you're playing a strong player, you've got to be careful. You know, if you think they hung something, I'd be extra wary. But in my case, I didn't see it. I did not see bishop takes c5 at all. It's you know, but honestly, even if I like took back and you played queen takes b7 and I played rook b8 and you went to queen a6 and I played rook takes b2, I think that black is okay even there. You know, you've got to think about the resulting endgame after I can just grab on b2. But I need to play. He's gonna win another pawn back here. Not much I can do about it. Not necessarily. Okay, we have something we can do about it. Queen a5. Then I'll drop my e5 pawn. Not exactly. I always have some kind of lucky defense in this game. Another lucky defense. But now white, yeah, white now runs out of things to do, I guess, here. Yeah, he can't really take on e5. He can take, but it's okay. It's counter tactic for me. That should win back any pawn that's captured on e5. Unless he can play something crazy like knight takes e5. Now he's only got one pawn for the piece. That's lost for white. Knight c4, knight takes c4. He loses this pawn. He can't block. He can't block here with knight c4. Yeah, he tried. I mean, it's natural to try to get this queenside going, but I have too much stuff here. I mean, I don't think that white realistically is going to be able to save this somehow. Even with the powerful outside duo. It's just one pawn for a piece. So guys, thank you for subscribing and watching. We'll be streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays like this in the morning, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. in the evening, as well as Sundays. As I did last night, I do a simul on Sundays at 6:30 p.m. Regular schedule now. Not going back to any tournaments for a while. Strong players are always lucky. Well, I mean, you don't give up, and you have to, you know, learn to fight, basically. I would just have this. I probably had this like a move ago. Yeah, that's it. So, all right, opening. You know, it's not so bad for white. It's kind of passive, but there's a few games. What's this? Victor Bologan, black, 1996. Bishop g5 is kind of a weird move. Not so bad though, I suppose. Computer's saying I should play d5 here and knight g4, but now it likes b6. I kind of felt like the opening was good. Now I could go ahead and play e5 there right away. I don't really like playing e5 that much, but it might be the best move. It's not clear if rook c8 is really a good move. The computer's talking about d5 here. It allows e5. I don't like that. Yeah, maybe on queen b3 I should go d5 straight up. I just routinely castle. That's alright. And now, Honestly, I was wondering if white should play d4. You know, to me that seems... It seems logical. I mean, this is what you've been trying to do, like, basically the whole opening. And now you get your chance to do it, and you don't do it. I mean, it allows a lot of simplification, but this is probably critical. White has to play d4. I mean, you've been playing for that since the move when you went c3. I really don't know what's going on here. My structure is slightly worse than white's, but I have very active pieces. So if you look at this, like, okay, I have an isolated pawn here, but my pieces are all very, very actively deployed, and that offsets my pawn structure. Yeah, this kind of position, though, he could even take on c6. I could fix my pawns, but the computer says no. You play rook takes c6. Not fixing your pawns, because that's not dynamic. Like, rook takes c6. I don't know. But anyway, just a kind of catastrophic blunder by white with bishop takes c5. It's certainly just a simple mistake. So, do we have any other subscribers who are challenging me that I didn't realize? Because if I do, no, I would let you guys. We're a loser, no challenge. If you guys decide to challenge, you can go to the front of the queue. All right, last for Ants. Yeah, he has enough games. I hope it's not rated. Don't challenge me to rated, guys. I didn't do a check. Once in a while, a rated challenge slips through, and someone beats me down. This guy's pretty strong. Last 4 ants. Is it like last dance? What is 4 ants? Last 4 ants. Bishop f4. I love the London system so much. We'll play a solid setup with e6 today. I've got a number of different approaches we can try against the London. I'm also sometimes thinking about, I get confused and mix it up with the sometimes I get confused and mix it up with the Tory attack, because some of the setups are kind of interchangeable that you can play against the two openings are kind of similar. Yeah, 4 in a D is modern language in modern language. A 4 is a D in modern language. Right. The standard London attack. London attack, not. That's not what it's called. Yeah, this is all just like. He's a bullet player. Never know what to do. Yeah, I mean, c takes d is like white's playing for a draw, basically. If you do c takes d, or hunting a draw. E takes d is normal recapture. Anybody could learn. I could teach my mom, who's like in her 80s, to play this setup with white fairly, you know, even though she doesn't know how to play chess. I could teach her to play the setup for white like pretty quickly, and in a matter of like 15 minutes, my mom could play the white side of the London system with a fair level of competency. Castling queenside is not normal, though. That's a really maniacal thing to do. It's probably very dangerous for white to do that, I would think. See, the thing about white's opening, it's like very easy to follow the general simple recipe. Instead of castling queenside, white would normally, you know, castle kingside, bring a rook to e1, then play knight e4, trade some pieces on e4, have a little tiny advantage in the endgame, you know, and then it would be like kind of a draw. Okay, here now I have to be a little bit careful. What is the actual position? It's weird. I thought I played knight b6. I was just thinking about playing knight b6, or how was it? Does he have a sacrifice on e6? Shouldn't really work. I mean, I guess I could play bishop d5. Notice I'm not even... I wouldn't consider in my wildest dreams like taking this pawn on g2. No way. No, I mean, that just opens lines for the enemy attack. Okay, I mean, I could see that this is like maybe a bullet player and he plays this kind of stuff, but in a long game, I think this is just a really reckless way for white to play with white in this sort of setup. I mean, my attack on the king side, on his queen side, is actually a lot easier to execute than his attack against my king. I have bishop f8, knight f8. What did you clip? You about my mom? Like, could teach my mom to play this in a matter of minutes. The London system. True, it's true. Let's see now. I have e5, but that opens up his rook as well, so that's kind of dangerous. Okay, he's not threatening anything straight up here. My d6 pawn. As I said earlier, they can trade pieces through e4. It's pretty standard. You don't usually see that happening where I'm not used to playing against castle and queen side. I guess it's not that bad after all. But it's a very, very simple setup for white. Knight takes e4, knight takes e4, queen b6. Maybe I shouldn't do that, though. Maybe I should just play queen b6 myself. He's not threatening anything really devastating here. If I play knight takes e4, knight takes e4, or is he going to play like bishop takes e4? Knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, bishop takes e4, queen takes e4, knight f6. I really don't know, honestly. I mean, I guess I should just trade pieces. You know, what I'm trying to say is that I think that a strong, solid 2300 is almost unbeatable if they want to draw like with this system. With white, it's extremely easy to play and solid. Let's say Last Dance is like a 2300 US player. I mean, if he doesn't want to take any risks, you're really not going to be able to beat him. And I could teach anybody to play this system for white, you know, very simply. This is kind of a weird capture. Bishop takes f6. I don't know what's up with that. I mean, I guess we can play g6 now. We should start thinking about b4 type of ideas. I can bring my bishop back to g7. The problem with playing new accounts is that sometimes there are people like trolling you, you know. This player has 50 games, but it's marginal. I would prefer to play someone who had more rated, you know, established games. So I know it's like really a human being, not somebody trolling you with an engine or something. You know, hopefully people that have established ratings don't do something like that. But you get these throwaway accounts where they're just playing and then like making a new account and playing, making a new account. There's usually like a significant chance that somebody's kind of messing around. Now white played h4, allowing queen takes h4, which would be a strong attack, I guess. So I think I should seriously consider going opposite color bishop here. The knight's just too strong on e4. I think I might be able to take the pawn on h4 here. It's a little bit dangerous, but it actually might be the soundest thing to do. If I take on h4 and then play something solid, he's still going to have threats. Let's see. Take on h4, rook h1, queen g3. He also has f5. Maybe it's too dangerous to take the pawn there on h4. Though f5, we should play for a counterplay rather than grabbing pawns. Time use by white is excellent. But he can't checkmate me on h8 with the bishop on g7. This is not an account I'd want to play any rated games against. Wow, c4. He's super fast. But that changes the structure. I mean, it's favorable to me that he gave himself an isolated pawn on d4. But this position is really mostly, you know, about attacking the other guy on his color complex. So I need to stay alert and stay as active as I can. This will force him to make a decision. It's not necessarily the best move, but it did force him to back up. I mean, in this case, I encouraged him to back up. If he had traded queens, he would have been equal at best. The isolated pawn doesn't matter that much in this kind of dynamic position with opposite color bishops. You know, now it's like a question of attacking each other on the opposite color complex. Structure doesn't mean that much here. I guess I should wait for him to play f5. I could take on d4, but it's kind of dangerous. This guy's time consumption is kind of concerning, how fast he's playing. Pretty amazing. Yeah, I wouldn't want to play any rated games with this account. No way. could easily be an engine. There's really no way to know. The only way you could know if this was a human or an engine is if you played a lot of games with them. I mean, I would be on the fence. It's so ridiculously fast. What is it, like a GM or something? I might even be like clearly worse now. I don't really have any counterplay. 4 minutes less. I wouldn't play this opponent again unless I was sure it was a human. Did I miss anything there? Queen takes d4? No, okay. I was looking at queen takes d4, rook takes d4, rook e1 check, which would be devastating, but he has rook or bishop back. Actually, rook back. Queen h7 is kind of a weird move. What is up with that? What's up with queen h7? Oh, he's going to have rook g5 at the end of the day? In some kind of line? Rook g5. This was a threat. It's either a very strong player or something else. He's a pretty good bullet player. He's played 25 games. I mean, who knows anything about this person? It's a totally random new account person. I mean, I'm using the term lightly. A b3 doesn't work. I shouldn't accept challenges from unknown accounts. Squeaky cheese. You like look at the account, he'll have won every single game he played or something, you know. It has 25 games. Let's see how many, like if it has like a perfect score in those 60 or 70 games. This would be at least an IM based on the way it played against me and the speed. I'm down to 8 seconds. Still I have some chances, but I would need a little bit of time here. 8 seconds is not really enough. Forced tactical win. Looks like it. Let's check the account here. Not perfect. He's actually lost some games. He's lost some games, so it's looking human. 3 losses, 7 losses. Has to be a real player. Let's see what the analysis board says. For me, like, the most amazing move was, apparently this was a blunder by me. The most amazing move was c4 for white in this game. The c4. Apparently I'm slightly better at this point, and he played c4. This was a mistake by me, queen d5. I could have played a lot of dynamic stuff, so chances were about equal. White had a little bit of an initiative, but the time advantage was like fatal. I was even okay here, but at this point I have 8 seconds, and my opponent has 2 minutes and 26 seconds. So it's not really possible to defend when you have like 8 seconds against 2 minutes and 26 seconds. Just too fast. But I wouldn't want to play them in rated game. They're probably going to be like 2,800 if they can play that fast in blitz. I mean, within a few hundred games, I would say it's an account that will be around 2,700. You know, lichess blitz. So according to the way they could play against me there. All right, next game is Archie 7-7. This is also provisional. We did play them. I thought we played them. I don't like to play provisional accounts. For some reason, I thought Archie was an established account that I had played before. I really want to play people who have like more than 50 games. Queen g8 and rook takes d4 was winning. Queen g8, yeah. I mean, well, whoever he is, he's really strong in bullet, you know, in speed, in terms of speed and practicality. I think it would be like 2,700 if he played like that on a regular basis. In blitz rating, not overwhelmingly strong, but overwhelmingly fast and practical. Archie, I'm not going to play that because you only have like a few games. I really ask people to have like 50 rated games before I play. All right, so Chess Armageddon. I'm going to play e4. Welcome tricks only. He seems legit, but I mean, you know, if he's 2,300, I mean, he's going to be 2,700. Once he has like 1,000 games on lichess. Just too quick. I mean, you could be playing a GM there. I don't think he's got a real sophisticated game, but his practical strength is immense. I should hold, but I would need like a minute on the clock probably from that point back there. I mean, I'm under a little bit of pressure, you know. So, all right, opposite color bishop positions are very, very hard to play. You know, you have to constantly play for the initiative. It's not like an opposite color bishop endgame, which are drawn. I mean, we're talking about very dynamic position where either side can attack on the dark squares or the white squares, and so as soon as I like played rook takes d4, I guess I'm lost because he how was it he got into the back rank though? Okay, so he just checked me out with a rook. Was that it? No, I can't remember. I can't remember what happened 2 minutes ago, but once my king gets flushed out, I'm probably lost. Basically. Aggressive players always seem to do good blitz and bullet. I wouldn't recommend what he does there, the castle and queen side in the London system. One notable example of that was Karyakin versus Adams from like 2 years ago, where he got absolutely crushed. It's not really correct to castle queenside in the London system, but this is a system that the guy has developed because it has like good practical results in very fast time controls. If you were to play that against a strong player in a tournament game, probably he would end up like slightly worse. You know, you're really putting your king in a reckless position. I probably didn't play it perfectly. I could have played more accurately, got my minority attack going like a little faster, and this player played the game like they had played the same game 500 times already, basically. Okay, that's very possible too. It's so easy to just repeat the same thing over and over again in the London system or some systematic line like that. As I was joking, you could teach your mom to play, or someone who doesn't know the rules of chess to play the London system in a matter of 15 minutes, and probably could play just that opening, fairly well. It's literally that easy to learn with white. So just there's not a lot of depth to it. If you played it on a master level, you'd end up like drawing all your games. That's the downside of the London system. It's not that dynamic. It's something that's easy to play really fast in blitz or bullet chess or rapid chess, but there's not a lot of depth to it. So it has a kind of a sort of diminishing returns to what you can get playing that opening. It's a good opening for beginners because it's easy to play, and it's good for maybe a bullet player, but I don't think, for sophisticated masters, it seems like kind of empty, not very complex. Knight bd7 now, he's like tempting me to sacrifice here, but it doesn't work. I could play f5, that's not effective, not really effective in this position. I guess bishop e3. I don't know what else to do. I've got to watch my king on the diagonal. This is kind of an unusual system that I play with a3, and I'm just kind of making it up as I go along. Yeah, Magnus, well, the London system was basically made for Magnus. It's perfect for his endgame grinder kind of style, where he doesn't really need to get an opening advantage. Any old equal position will basically do for Carlsen. All he needs is an equal position, and I'll play the other guy in the endgame. I mean, and the simpler the position, the better. I'm thinking of sacrificing on e6 here just to create some kind of dynamic chances. But I'm having second thoughts because I'm not sure that it's really objectively sound. On the other hand, if I don't play a sacrifice on e6, I don't really know what I'm doing, to be perfectly frank. He's got too much pressure on e4. Playing strong players today, like nobody under 2,000. Can I sacrifice a pawn somehow? His setup is too durable. This is like the optimal Najdorf formation. Knight on bd7, bishop b7, knight f6, and you just pressure e4. I can't play e5, it just drops a pawn. Unless I could sack a pawn, but I don't see how that really works. So I guess I'm going to do this, It's unclear is better than slightly worse. I don't really have another option at this point. So we'll take unclear rather than slightly worse. That seemed like my other option, to just be slightly worse. In general, sacking these two minor pieces is usually better for black in many cases, because in the middle game, the minor pieces are actually better than the rook. The rook generally doesn't have a lot of activity in this early stage of the game. So usually I think the two minor pieces are better than the rook and two pawns in this case. But materially, I've got enough. So now we need to think what the best way is here. I don't know which way he's supposed to recapture on f8 there, honestly. It's kind of a tough call. Bishop d4. I mean, I'm going to be dropping a pawn in some lines here. Maybe I have to play queen d4. However, that's That's a little weird for some reasons. I could play knight to d5, I guess. That just drops a pawn on e4. I could sack a pawn back in some way, but it looks like he's just got a good game if I do that, you know, so I'm not thrilled with my position here. Actually, queen d4, rook c8 looks very strong for black, among other things. So queen d3, knight c5, also very strong for black. Everything looks pretty good for black. If I take on c5 and then he can just build up the pressure. This looks pretty bad for me, actually. Bishop d4. If I sack a pawn, you know, can I counter him somehow? Can I get something going? I really don't know, but I see some ideas. It just feels like the right move to me. If I lose the pawn, I lose the pawn. I can't tie myself down to e4. I thought you said queen d5. Queen d5 is not happening. Yeah. London system was designed for Magnus Carlsen. Yeah, I mean, he's all about that type of thing. Not a player, not a romantic player, not classical attacking player. Carlsen is the picture of, he's the picture of practicality. So now there's this nasty trick I have, but I'm not sure it even works. What you want to do is find tricks that actually work. Why doesn't this trick work somehow? Queen g4. Well, it doesn't seem to work. But at least I can make him backpedal a little bit. I mean, I still have a pawn and a rook for two minor pieces. I mean, it shouldn't be that bad. He actually has several defenses here. I'm not even sure if this is a good move for me, objectively. Feels aggressive. Now, this move I missed originally. I thought he had to play bishop c6 here, kind of backpedaling. But he has knight f6. Wait a minute. He doesn't have knight f6. He does have knight f6. Yeah. Of course he has knight f6. Now we have to fight for a draw, basically down. I feel like I'm down material. I mean, his bishop is so strong. Technically, I'm not down material. I have a rook and a pawn for bishop and knight. But Chess Armageddon played this great. You guys are all playing like monsters today, making my life a living hell. Now only black can realistically expect to win here. And I'm getting down 5 minutes to 1. Wow. 5 minutes to 1. What is Chess Armageddon's bullet rating? A mere 2018. He's used only a minute and a half, 2 minutes. 3 minutes, actually. Where did my time go? I don't even think I talked that much. Yeah, now we're just groveling for a draw, basically. That's what I've been doing all day. I honestly, you know, it seems to me you guys are stronger than me in the opening stage of the game. Majority of you are just stronger than me in the opening, which is not unusual. I mean, everyone has equal information nowadays, you know, in terms of, is this too risky to do this? Seems a little insane. to play g4. Chess Armageddon is playing too well. I don't want to go. I don't want to go there with the g4. I made a little air for my king, but I think g4 might be too dangerous actually because of h5, and he can open up to h5. I mean, that seems kind of crazy actually with the bishop on d4, but I don't see a good response after like g4 h5. I can't protect g4, and like g5 really fixes the pawns. Maybe in black's favor, I'm not sure. So I'm just carefully groveling for a draw here with white. It seems like, you know, everybody has information. It used to be like only masters knew the opening theory, but more and more like the playing field is leveled with information in the opening. So players who aren't very theoretical are now facing a much, you know, masters who aren't very theoretical are facing a much tougher test against lower rated players who often know the openings extremely well. You know, Chess Armageddon is like 300 points lower than me, but he played the opening better than me, and that's been the case all day long. I mean, basically, I've been struggling with the openings here today. You don't think we have opening? We don't have equal info. People that follow your opening stream know your opening. Well, Photon Man, that's true. Okay, I mean, it's very, you know, it's very. Yeah, it's very true. You know, I don't think about that as much, but Photon Man's point is well taken. We can't let him on the 7th rank here, obviously. That's out of the question. With the crushing bishop on e4. I'm actually calculating, could I afford to sack the exchange? And could I draw if I sack the exchange at some point? Time is money. I'm in trouble on time every single time. Opening has been struggling. Okay, Photon Man's point is that people know what I play. You know, they know I play the Sozin against the Najdorf, so they can prepare. I played a4 in an earlier game. This is my second Najdorf today, actually. I'm not really an e4 player, but I know you guys like me to play e4 because e4 is the most popular move for white. E4 is like theoretically the most aggressive move for white. People enjoy excitement and sharp positions. So I try to play more e4 than I might normally play of my own volition. I'm actually more of a d4 guy. All right, well, we've got to try to get something going here. This bishop on d4 is saving my life. Otherwise, I'd be a dead man. But yet, I mean, it's still a long way to go before this game is fully clear. Jeez, this is really crazy. F6 doesn't work. Now it's like blockading. Chess Armageddon played terrifically. I thought I had f6, but he just takes it. There's nothing I can do. I'm in danger of like losing. All of his pieces are maximum active. I have no counterplay. So I have some kind of trick with f6 at one point. Ah, good. That should do it for me in this game. Not been a good day. I missed this. I don't know what I could have done to defend, really. We try for some kind of counterplay, but there's not enough here. I'm just losing. Nothing wrong with me today. I can tell you guys, I'm actually perfectly sharp, but you're playing better. Chess Armageddon is like 1 out of 8 against me. He's played this game like a monster. Right out of the gate, I was under pressure on the clock, on time. He played beautifully, like a master. He has played other good games against me, but he's been kind of inconsistent. My rooks never had a chance to get into the game. That's exactly what I was talking about when I sacrificed 2 pieces for the rook. The rooks can't get into the game. The rooks can't get into the game. You know, it's the middle game, not an end game. I can never do anything in this position. It's like ridiculous. It's just lost for me. Nothing I can do. H4. And super fast too. This is no defense here. Just resign. Let's check the analysis board. I'd be surprised if he had much center pawn loss here. It looked like a really flawless performance by black. So we're still in book, apparently. All the best moves. Except here he's supposed to play, I made a blunder. No, I can't play knight c6 because of queen b6 check. There's nothing wrong with his move, knight on bd7. People are more like scared of knight c6 psychologically. Maybe this was a mistake. I don't know what I'm supposed to play. I don't like my position, really. The end says bishop takes e6. Look at that, like clear advantage to black right out of the gate after this. There is no move for white in this position. I mean, I don't know why it's giving Chess Armageddon 22 center pawn loss. I mean, it seems like less to me. The best move the end should come up with is rook c1. It may be queen e2 or something like that. I'm basically like lost. I'm basically lost in this position after move 12. I mean, I don't see like what white can do here. I'm just lost after 12 moves. Like there's no way to protect my pawn on e4. It's funny, like the engine was giving bishop takes e6, now it says it's like dubious. What inaccuracies. Okay, queen takes. I wasn't sure about this, you know, his move. Taking with the queen on f8 is kind of awkward. I didn't expect that. I would expect him to take with a minor piece, probably. Bishop takes. The bishop's not doing a whole lot on e7. The computer gives him a hard time for queen takes f8, but it's not actually that bad. It says queen d3. I was looking at queen d3. I didn't like rook c8, to be honest. I don't even know what my plan is in this position. But apparently this is better than what I did. I played bishop d4. I mean, his calculation is excellent too. He sees this. He doesn't see any ghosts. This was like a flawless game by black, dude. Like every single move except for queen takes f8. And the endgame he played flawlessly. He got another dubious or another. He got another inaccuracy. Where? I saw one inaccuracy with queen takes f8. What other inaccuracy did he have? Here it says 2 mistakes. What mistakes? Queen takes f8 and bishop c4 at the end. I mean, that's ridiculous to criticize like bishop c4 here. What kind of mistake is that? I mean, this was the best game today by anybody. Alright, Archie, again, it's like provisional. I'm not going to play that account. So, M. Meki, 1878. Do we have any other subscribers? I guess not. World Losers Not Challenging. That was by far, I think, the best played game. The other games were like kind of back and forth where both sides were making mistakes, but Chess Armageddon just played, you know, I think a one mistake game. I don't think that bishop c4 was a mistake. Maybe the recapture on f8 was his only inaccuracy in a sense. I mean, the computer gives him two question marks. I think that's kind of ridiculous. Like, the second one is definitely irrelevant because he's winning, and the first one, queen takes f8, it wasn't such a bad move actually. So it should be like a dubious instead of a question mark. Anyway, back to business here. You guys are beating up on me. I don't know if I have an even score today, or do I have +1? I've been lost in like every single game. M. Mekki, yeah, bishop c4, there's this sick trend with people playing this move. I don't like it unless black plays d6. If I play d6 and I forfeit my ability to play d5 in one move, then you have some really good players like Leonid Yudazin, Michael Adams, who've played bishop c4. But the disease on lichess, whereas like everybody's playing bishop c4 with the white pieces against the Sicilian, I can't figure this out, you know, because it is not a very good system for white. I mean, it's more or less like playing like you're black, I think. Maybe the best is actually e6 rather than g6. I like to play g6 a lot too, because I play the accelerated dragon with black. But I guess objectively, Mekki's move isn't necessarily bad because he can still play d4. That would probably be the best move for white in this position, to play d4. To transpose back into a kind of open Sicilian, like I played last game, you know, with white with bishop c4. But if you don't play d4, you're just playing like you're playing the black pieces, basically, and losing your opening advantage. Now e5, this is typically a mistake, making the pawn, you know, kind of overextended, so I can attack it or just simply trade it off. Little Pingwing, what's up? We're getting beaten down today. Photon Man, the reason I play bishop c4 is because I wanted to play the fried liver, but you can't do that against the Sicilian. A lot of beginners think that you can just do bishop c4, but black, you know, in the fried liver and e4, e5 openings, I mean, bishop c4 only makes sense because black played e5. There's a direct line to f7. But if black doesn't move the e-pawn forward, bishop c4 doesn't have nearly as much validity, you know. Anyway, lecture is over. We'll just play chess now. I'm not really sure, you know, I have no immediate way to like refute his setup or something. I can just play d5, for example, with an equal game. I can't like win or something by force. I don't know. e5 it's interesting actually. Maybe not a bad way to play under the circumstances. If I play a6, that's also probably not a bad move for me. I could try to get my bishop to the long diagonal. It's obviously not coming through this diagonal, most likely. But a6 is a little slow. Anyways, let's see. Knight h6 is interesting. It's kind of a slow method of development, you might say. More straightforward just to play d5. But black does not have an advantage. Black has equality, you know, about equality here. So I can't refute bishop c4 outright. You can just equalize against it. It's basically a system that black plays against the English opening, in many cases. I don't have to take this back right away, but I'm going to have to take it at some point anyway. I was actually thinking about something fancy like knight h6, knight f5, and take with a knight on d6, but I mean, I think it's too luxurious and kind of a waste of time. Better just to develop the pieces efficiently. And but anyway, I really like bishop c4 for white against d6 in particular. Again, some good players play that for white. I think it's more justified. Queen c7, queen e2, f6 looks pretty good though. Yeah, that reminds me of, that's a good idea. That reminds me of what do you call it? The Rosalimo, some lines in the Rosalimo. A very combative attempt by tricks only. Queen c7, queen e2, f6. destroying the pawn, forcing him to trade it off, and then developing, you know, like with knight takes f6, I guess. You could take with the pawn, but that's not what we're going to do. Yeah, I mean, that's also dynamic and at least equal for black, tricks only. Now we play d4, which I'm a little surprised to see, because that's not really what I expected, him turning it into an open position. I mean, at the end of the day, he has rook up, maybe a cross, but it's going to be hard for him to do that. And you could say that a4 kind of weakens his queen side a little bit in this sort of position. We have a solid game. It's like a French, it looks like a French Tarrasch or something. I don't see any tricks. Tricks only. We have some tricks only, like pawn takes pawn, knight takes d4, queen a5 check. I guess just c3, and then queen e5 check. It doesn't do anything really. It's just a fancy way of moving my queen around. So what's objectively the best here? You know, the automatic move. Am I missing any tactics? We could play something cool like knight e5 to avoid exchanging pieces, but that also wastes time and probably sends his bishop back to a pretty good square. So it looks like I should develop with some maybe gain of time if I'm lucky. He takes here, I win material. I have some checks on b4. Maybe I can win a pawn, but it's dangerous to take that pawn, so I'm not really sure how good this is. His play is basically forced. He has to play, well, I guess he can play c3. It's kind of insipid to play c3, but c3 is doable. Just a slightly inferior endgame for white after c3. But I would expect bishop e3 and to try to sack the pawn on b2. When taking it looks kind of dangerous for me, although maybe it's not. I don't know. So bishop e3, queen b4 check. You know, this is just bad for white. He's going to have to play like bishop f1, and that's not what anybody really wants to do. This move is just a massive concession, and I don't see how he's justified in sacrifice the g2 pawn. This pawn would have been a different story, so I think he should play bishop e3 here, queen b4 check, knight d2 only move, and then queen takes b2, when white should have compensation, I would think. My queen is kind of out of position, and I'm not really threatening anything other than knight takes d4, which he could just do any number of moves to defend against that. So I don't think he has a choice. I mean, I think you have to play bishop f1 here, and I don't know how you're going to carry out your development after that. Sadly, bishop e5 doesn't work, I know. If there was just a pawn on f3, that move would actually work. That's sick. I don't know, I guess I could sack my queen or something. Like, yeah, if he had this trick, take, and my rook is hanging on a8, but I have queen e4 check, well, you know, I might even have like queen takes g2 actually. So this almost works. It's something you should be looking for. I saw this the other day, like the same kind of trick. Living up to your name. You get a rook in two pieces, do I? If he has a pawn on f3, pawn takes, rook takes. Yeah, pawn takes, rook takes, yeah. I do. I would get rook. I would two pieces and a rook. It's a lot. But he gets a he gets a few pawns. It would be a little bit unclear. So, not something I'd really want to go into if I had my choice. Yeah, now one doesn't get the feeling I have a direct win per se. So I just have to develop and put some pressure on him. I don't have another idea. Check doesn't do anything. See a check, play a check, but I just have to play for some sort of long-term edge here. This is probably a reasonable move. I don't have knight g4. Is he threatening bishop b5 again? Taking a page from Tricks Only's book. He's threatening it now. No, still I'd have queen takes g2 though at the end. So at the end of the day, I mean, we're not winning. We just have like a development advantage. What is it, 12:30 already? Wow. I didn't realize the stream is almost over. I was having so much fun getting pummeled that I didn't realize our fun was over for today. But we've got another 10 minutes. I started late today. So hand the mic off to Tricks Only in a minute. In 8 minutes. He can have some fun watching us struggle here. But rook h3, that's a creative idea. I like it. Plus the h-pawn could play a role in like bishop g5. I don't know if I'm right about this, doing like e5, but playing a little bit faster now. I want to stop rook h3 and maybe set up knight g4, playing for f2 pressure. This is a very weakening move for white. He obviously didn't like that knight g4 either, but I mean, that's a really, really weakening move. So we have okay, he has bishop g5 maybe. Makes me want to play e4. Maybe I should. Let's just go for it. You like f3. Alright, Tricks Only, have a good stream today, man. Assuming you're streaming. Hope you're not still sick. We've got a massive development lead here. Lots of pressure. His king is not safe, obviously, and now my rooks are just coming to the center. He doesn't have g4 because of I don't know what. He might have g4. Can he do g4? It's actually playable. Okay, rook d8 looks pretty dangerous. He's gonna get pummeled on the d file. So this is just too big a threat. I'll just ignore g4 and play rook d8, and black is totally winning. I'm gonna win the queen, or I'll do other damage. h4, it's the pork chop. This is what I was taught when I was a beginner. f3, king f2, and h4. I like to do h4 when I'm on tilt in blitz with white, just to kind of like handicap myself and make my wins feel more valid. I would play h4 against everyone on a regular basis when I was angry, but I've cured myself of this psychosis. It is kind of like freeing to just play totally absurd lines sometimes. Ayeste played a great game in the simul yesterday. No, he's lost. Okay, we have time for one more game. Who is going to be the lucky customer? Yaneza. Well, that king is toast. Okay, Meki played too hesitantly in the opening. Alright, last game for today, guys. Yaneza. Haven't seen you in a long time. I've been getting pummeled with e4, so I've had enough Najdorf for today. The anti-Najdorf systems need to go into the workshop, or the what is it? Emery Tate called it the woodshed. Emery and the woodshed. Bishop b4. The proper Ragozin. You see a lot of Rogozin against knight f3, but you don't see it too often against bishop b4. But I mean, this is the proper Rogozin. It really should have a different name. I mean, against bishop g5 and against knight f3, bishop g5 is much more aggressive. It seems like it should. Back to the workshop for my white side of the Najdorf. Well, the first one was okay, but the second one against Chess Armageddon was really, I don't even know what I did wrong. I thought I was playing like a sensible setup, but I guess it's not so good. So basically it's like a Leningrad Nimzo where black played d5. What am I supposed to do? Once I lost to Palos Osman in this position, I think. I did something like queen a4 check, knight c6, knight f3. Maybe I didn't do queen a4 check. Anyway, it's a blitz game. We could transpose to the normal lines. Although my bishop's on g5. Normally I don't put it out there. Okay, like the last time I played against was the last time I played this was white was Rafal Ferdzik. It's Polish 2300 from New York City. I won in like 15 moves. He made some sort of blunder. This is a very, very safe way for white to play. Actually, this position is probably pretty popular at the moment. I have seen some high-level games even very recently with this position. Okay, queen b3 is like an ultra safe move. What would Carlsen? This looks like Carlsen's repertoire with black, actually, come to think of it. Didn't Dreyev like lose to Carlsen in the World Cup in a similar line? Not quite the same, though. Dreyev losing badly from a position that looked visually good for white. It could be the same position. It's awfully similar. Did anybody see that game where Dreyev lost the first match game against Carlsen with the white pieces? Pretty alarming to see Alexei lose with the white in such a safe-looking type of line. Carlsen just had this really deep preparation. It's very similar to the Lasker variation of the Queen's Gambit. Now I'm playing c3, c4. That seems a bit weird to play c3, c4. You could play bishop g4, then knight e5. So he doesn't have time for that. c5. c5, pawn takes pawn, c takes d, knight takes d4. No. He needs his rook on d8 to be a proper Lasker variation of the Queen's Gambit declined. He should just take on c4. We managed to play c4 again. I play a4 and h4 when you're on tilt. It happens quite often. I like h4 better than a4 though. It's like I had these very strange tilt openings worked out. H4, h5 followed by queen a4 check and queen h4 was h4, h5 followed by queen a4 check and at queen h4, queen g3. This was one of my favorite systems when on tilt. Now he has c5, but instead he played b6. The Kramnikian approach here. It looks almost like a Lasker variation, but he's kind of a tempo down. It feels like I should be a tempo down. But the result seems like black is the tempo down here. Still pretty solid. Okay. He wants to trade pieces, which is reasonable. I can put pressure on c6 now. If he has to go back to b8, he's kind of paralyzed. A position that Magnus would love for either color, no doubt. Maybe not so much with black here, but I think the game with Dreyev was a Rogozin, but I don't remember. It looks like in the late opening, Dreyev had been out prepared and then walked into some kind of trappy preparation. Then he was slightly worse and he couldn't find like the computer like defenses that he needed to find to hold a draw against Carlsen in the World Cup, and he lost. And then he like had to play with black down the point, and it's just over. Good luck beating Carlsen with black in a point down sudden death match. All right, yeah, Yaneza is like losing the c pawn. Nothing to do really. Maybe he can hold a draw though. There's a good way of playing this and there's a bad way of playing this. Well, anyway, he should probably play c5 and just give me the pawn, and then if there were no a pawns on the board, it would probably be very good drawing chances for black. But because there are a pawns on the board, okay, wow. Thought I was just winning instantaneously, but it's not necessarily the case. All right, so we have knight. This was a good move, knight b5. I missed it. Okay, we have multiple threats. Multiple threats. I guess it was a good move, knight b5. But it's possible I'm wrong. Okay, heavy piece ending. That's his best move. Heavy piece ending is the best case scenario really for Yaneza here, because in the heavy piece ending he has some drawing chances. I don't think this is the best heavy piece ending in the world, but he looks like he's going to take control of. He may take control of the open line, which is a pain. He wins control of the C file, and that gives him some compensation. Not really enough, but still. I mean, this is still a difficult position for white to win. Kind of technical. I don't know what I should do actually. Just play like queen b2, queen b1. It's kind of a passive reaction, but this game will probably be decided by time. I mean, I don't know. I've got 5-on-3 on the king side. He would rather have it like 4-on-3, 2-on-2. And then he has very good chances to draw. With the 5-on-3, you know, it's a lot more complicated. He has some sick tactics here. Guess it doesn't work. All right, I'm looking at the most perverse tactic in the world. Rook c1, queen b5. But I could just take the queen and then rook takes e1, queen f1 with a winning king and pawn ending. I don't know if I'm supposed to be trading heavy pieces here, but I don't think he should go, you know, with rook g6. He probably just played the queen ending. He's probably best just to play the queen ending there. Now I have also queen e4, or rook check and queen e4, increasing the chance of me getting back rank mated. Yeah, I guess we don't need to do that. My mouse makes this strange springy sound. It's a little too springy. Just like boing. You can probably hear it on the microphone. I accidentally deleted my lichess account. I could see accidentally forgetting it, but accidentally deleting it. Well, I was counting on this move, but I have better. I have queen a8 check, rook c8. I'm assuming it's better. I don't know. I have threats of mate while maintaining the defense. We're going to shuffle his king out to g6. Still, it's not easy to win. Anyway, guys, this is the last game for today. I'm going to be out of here, and we'll see you tomorrow night. I do a viewer tournament on Tuesday nights. Shuffle off to Buffalo. Rook e6 is a good move. I don't like rook e6. Rook e6 is messing with me. Alright. The king is a fighting piece. I have no clue what the best move is here. I just suddenly had a terrible fear. But hopefully there's no perpetual check. Rook takes e3, pawn takes, queen takes, king f1. Queen d3 check, king f2. I can walk up, I thought, to king g3 and interpose with my queen on f3. Walk my king up and out and over. So he's got to think about that, yep. But I don't think it works. I mean, it shouldn't really work. I should be able to come up here. And I have the queen. Okay, the queen is obviously a vital piece of the puzzle here. But I can also play king here. So he runs out of checks, basically. He was low on time and he panicked. I mean, maybe he can defend in another way. No, I still have to be a little bit aware here. Should I start walking over to the queen side? King d3, queen d1, king d2, queen f4. He keeps bothering me. You know, at least this will stop the checks for a minute. It doesn't really matter how many pawns he gets at this point. I mean, the minute his king gets pushed out, it's going to be subjected to a very strong attack by the white queen and rook. Kind of like me in the first game. Should be winning for me now. I'm not sure about this move, actually. Probably not my best, but at least there I can trade queens. Alright, so that is that. Thank you for the game, Yaneza. I think the opening is a little dubious. I mean, the opening itself is okay, but then this position, like taking immediately, is that the best? No. So you're supposed to play any number of moves. Queen d6, queen b6, c5. The exchange on c3 is inaccuracy, giving white a slight advantage. So anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. We'll be back tomorrow night with a viewer tournament here on lichess and Twitch. Anyway, thanks to our moderators, Jeroen and World Loser, for hanging out with us, and the visit from Tricks Only is appreciated. You guys can watch the stream as well. I will see you tomorrow night, and thanks for playing and watching. Again, please think about subscribing to the stream. I really appreciate it. I need the support. Also, you can donate to the stream through PayPal, either here on my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. Again, guys, thank you. I'll see you tomorrow night. Bye-bye.